this meeting.
Nice.
There we go.
Set,
Okay.
all set. Okay, I'd like to call the Tuesday, January 11th, 2022 planning board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Bob Doherty,
Here.
Jim Callahan,
Here.
Kevin Donovan,
Here.
Dave Edmonds,
Here.
Carolyn Turner,
Here.
Mike Ventresca,
Here.
and Claudia Bogan.
Here.
Okay. First up, we have the election of the chair and the vice chair. Does the director want to take this over?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to do that. And thank you for taking this matter first. As you know, and audience members may know, it is customary for the board to elect from its members a chair and a vice chair at its January meetings for the upcoming calendar year. Therefore, it is appropriate for us tonight, or for you, to consider taking and electing both a chair and a vice chair for the next 12 months. Having said that, I would ask if there are any nominations for the position of planning board chair for 2022.
I'd like to nominate Claudia Bolgan for chair.
Second.
Who was that seconded?
I'll give it to Dave.
Dave, very good. So motion made by Mr. Ventresca, seconded by Mr. Edmonds to nominate Claudia Bolgan as chair. Are there any other nominations of other members for the position of chair?
I'd like to make a motion to close the nominations.
Second.
Second.
A motion made by Mr. Doherty and seconded by, was it Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Was that a motion to both close the nominations and to elect Ms. Bolgan chair?
Yes.
And for clarity, I will second that motion.
Very good. And before we take the vote, I would just ask Ms. Bolgan if she would like to say a few words or anything before we elect her to the position.
My colleagues, I appreciate the opportunity to serve as chair for a third time. And I appreciate, if indeed I am elected, the vote of confidence for me to lead you through as best as I'm able to year 2021.
I hope 2022 is what you meant.
You know, I have to think about
But it
that.
might be like 2021.
But you're right. It actually is 2022.
Cheers.
Thanks for keeping me on track, Tina. I appreciate that.
Very good. And with that, then, Ms. Smith, could I ask you to call a roll call vote on the motion to close nominations and elect Ms. Bolgan chair?
Bob Doherty,
Yes.
Jim Callahan.
Aye.
Kevin Donovan,
Aye.
Dave Edmonds,
Aye.
Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Mike Ventresca,
Aye.
Claudia Bogan.
Aye.
Very
And
good.
Kevin, so Tina, do you want to go ahead and do the vice chair as well?
That's what I was thinking. Unless you would prefer, I would be happy to do it.
No,
Then-
I just wanted to take just a moment to thank Kevin for leading the board through 2020 and 2021, certainly the most unusual years in planning board history that at least I have seen. So Kevin, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you all.
Yeah, bravo. Well said.
Well done.
Okay.
Okay, then on the subject matter of electing a vice chair for the board for 2022, are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mike Ventresca.
Second.
And
Second that.
seconded, so a motion by Ms. Bolgan, seconded by Mr. Doherty to elect Mike Ventresca vice chair of the planning board. Are there any other nominations? Then I would
Make a
ask,
motion to close the nominations and elect Mike Ventresca as the vice chair.
is there a
Second.
second? Multiple seconds by Ms. Turner in under the wire. Motion made and seconded then to close nominations and appoint Mike Ventresca vice chair. Mike, would you like to say a few words before we take the vote?
No, just thanks a lot, and hopefully Claudia will continue the reign of chairmanship for the next term, and maybe we'll try to work on Zork getting that reinstituted, but don't hold your breath.
Oh, very good. Very good then. On the motion to close nominations and elect Mike Ventresca vice chair. Ms. Smith, would you take a roll call vote?
Bob Doherty,
Aye.
Jim Callahan,
Aye.
Kevin Donovan,
Aye.
Dave Edmonds,
Aye.
Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Mike Ventresca. Chair Claudia Bogan.
Aye. All right, Tina, well, that motion carries.
It does.
So Tina, thank you for taking the reins for the elections, and I will take the metaphorical gavel from your hand
Very good.
and go on with the meeting. So looking at our agenda, we have a continued public hearing on Legacy Lane subdivision for a modification request to retain the roadway as a private way to be maintained by the private homeowners association rather than have the road become a public way maintained by the city after completion of construction. Tina, what have we on this tonight?
Yes, so I will say one thing at the outset, that both Mr. Ventresca and Mr. Edmonds have filed certifications with us. They were not at the first segment of the hearing, which opened at the December meeting, but they have both since reviewed the tape and signed certifications that they have in fact reviewed the public hearing recordings and have brought themselves up to speed, and so will participate in the matter. Thank you, Mr. Edmonds. So we did open the hearing at the last meeting, and members ultimately continued it to this evening for a couple of reasons. One was that the applicant was asked to prepare a plan that would show the locations and proposed text of directional and regulatory street signage to address some of the issues that were raised relative to ownership of the roadway as a private way, and also its any regulations relative to parking and stopping and things of that nature. Also, continue the hearing to allow staff to write a letter requesting an opinion from the city solicitor on a couple of questions or issues that came up at the last meeting. The 2 points were relative to the rights of abutters to private ways in terms of the rights of to use and to perhaps alter the roadway, as opposed to the rights that people might have who abut on a public way. And it also asked if the board were to approve the request but condition it upon no barriers being erected in the roadway, what would be the enforcement mechanism for such a condition. Since the last meeting, there have been a couple of developments. One is that the developer, despite his best efforts, was not able to get a plan of the signs to us in time for this meeting due to some personal issues with the engineer. They were not able to get that filed for this evening's meeting, but are in fact intending to file within the next week or 10 days so that it would be available at your next meeting on January 25th. I also received from Attorney Tarby a request just late yesterday afternoon asking for a continuance of this hearing because he is unavoidably unable to attend the meeting this evening due to circumstances that were beyond his control. And so he obviously needs to be here to represent his applicant. So he is asking the board to grant an extension or a continuation rather of the hearing to the meeting on the 25th. Lastly, you did get a response to my memo to the city solicitor, and I've reviewed it a couple of times and I included it in the packet of information for tonight's meeting, but it raises a couple of questions for me, frankly, that I wanted to raise with the planning board and with the attorney for the developer and go back perhaps to the city solicitor for some clarification. I wasn't able to do that in time for this evening's meeting, obviously, and particularly with Mr. Tarby being absent. I would like to use that as another reason why I would recommend that you consider granting Mr. Tarby's request and continuing the hearing to January 25th. After, of course, checking with the audience to make sure that nobody is attending who wants to speak tonight, rather than hold comments until your next meeting. That's the
All right.
summary.
Thank you, Tina.
Welcome.
Does anyone have any questions for Tina on her presentation? All right, hearing no questions, I would ask the audience, this is a continuation of a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak, if you could use the raise hand function, which Tina will now explain again, to let us know that you'd like to speak tonight. Let me give a moment for Tina to explain that.
So you take your cursor on, and I notice the participants are on computers. So take your cursor and hover it over the bottom of the screen. There is a reactions button at the bottom. If you click on that, you'll see a feature that says raised hand. And if you click on that, we'll be able to tell that you would like to address the board this evening. So I am looking through the audience, Madam Chairman, and I do not see anyone with their hand raised tonight.
All right. So that being said, if the planning board members have no questions for Tina and the applicant through his counsel is unable to attend, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to continue the public hearing on Legacy Lane to the next planning board meeting, which is
January 25th at
January
7 o'clock.
25th.
Yes.
All right, a motion has been made by Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I will take the second from Mike. Hearing no other discussion, Karen, would you call the roll, please, on a roll call vote?
Bob Darty,
Aye.
Jim Callahan,
Aye.
Kevin Donovan,
Aye.
David Edmonds.
Aye.
Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Mike Ventresca,
Aye.
Chair Claudia Bogan.
Aye. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favor, none opposed. I had to count the boxes, just like the Brady Bunch days. And that motion carries. So that matter will be taken up on January 25th. And we all hope that that the applicant and Mr. Tarby will be able to appear on that day. All right, next on the agenda, under subdivisions, I have Legacy Lane once again. So the question, I guess, is with regard to the subdivision discussion. This is a completion date issue, whether we need to take that separately. Does that make
I would-
sense?
I would recommend, yes, that the board consider actually just postponing discussion and any of any extension of the completion date until your next meeting on the 25th.
All right, do we need a formal motion or do we just
Nope,
table
nope.
that?
I think we can table it. Just table it.
All right, so we'll table that discussion until January 25th to accompany the public hearing process. And then next under subdivisions, I have Russo Estates expiration of construction completion date. Tina, do you have anything to present to us on this?
Yes, just to let you know that this completion date expired at the end of 2021. So we obtained an update from the developer who has requested a brief extension to the end of, essentially the end of February. That they asked for the 22nd of February, February 28th, 2022 as the new completion date. In fact, the stone bounds and final paving have been done. And what remains is preparation of acceptable as-built and acceptance plans. The engineering department has confirmed that in fact, the remaining construction work has been finished, but he has requested that the developer's engineer provide a certification letter indicating that the subdivision road was constructed as designed. So I'm going to suggest that the board consider granting an extension of the completion date to February 28, 2022. And that additional time will allow us to get that certification and hopefully any plan revisions that might be needed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Bob to accept the planning board director's recommendations, second by Carolyn. Is there any further discussion? I will just say that the completion date is being moved by not very much, and there is very little left to be done. So I would be inclined to vote favorably on an extension of time for that reason. So Karen, would you call the roll for a roll call vote on this motion?
Mr. Bob Doherty,
Aye.
Jim Callahan,
Aye.
Kevin Donovan.
Aye.
David Edmonds,
Aye.
Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Michael Ventresca,
Aye.
Chair Claudia Bogan.
Aye. 7 in favor, none opposed. That motion carries. All right, so at this point, we have already taken care of the election. And I see, other than that, approval of minutes of the December 14th, 2021 virtual meeting. Why don't we take that up before well, actually, you know what? Let's do planning board director update and let's take that up at the very end. So Tina, with regard to the planning director update, do you have some items for us to take note of?
Just to let you know that your next meeting is on the 25th of January. It will be a pretty full agenda. You have the continuation at 7 p.m. You'll have the continuation of the Legacy Lane public hearing. We will have a second public hearing that night. There's been a subdivision or a roadway improvement plan for a one-lot subdivision at the end of Village Street. The board might recall that you had seen a plan a couple of years ago that was ultimately withdrawn without prejudice, but they have now refiled that, and the hearing will be at your next meeting. There'll also be discussion of a number of completion dates. The Legacy Lane, as we just mentioned, along with 8892 Pearl Street, Baker Way, Crossman Road, and Robertson and Carlson Way. And that is it.
And Tina, you had mentioned to me that with regard to the location of the meeting for the 25th, that due to an advertising situation, we are locked into having that be a virtual meeting.
Thank you.
Is that
That's correct. That's correct. The public hearing notice for the subdivision on Village Street required the legal notice to go in about 10 days ago. So I advertised it as a virtual hearing. So the 25th meeting will again be a Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Okay. So just with respect to the virtualness or in-personness of our meetings, I would anticipate that that's a decision, that remains open. But with regard to this month anyway, it seems like both of our meetings this month will be virtual, and we can certainly have ongoing discussions about what the members are comfortable doing. But I just wanted to bring that up just so you guys can think about it. Next meeting, we will probably have to make a choice as to February. All right, so if there are other business matters that may legally come before the board not known at the time of posting?
None except for,
None.
no, there are none.
Okay, so why
Just the
don't we
minutes.
take up the approval of the minutes then for the December 14th, 2021 virtual meeting? So obviously Dave will not be able to vote because he had not yet rejoined us, of which we are very happy that he has tonight. Are there any discussion of the minutes or a motion with regard to them?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the draft meeting minutes from December 16th, 2021.
All right, a motion by Bob to accept the draft minutes is submitted. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Jim. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask Karen to conduct a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bob Doherty,
Aye.
Mr. Jim Callahan,
Aye.
Mr. Kevin Donovan.
Aye.
Dave Edmonds was absent. Ms. Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Michael Ventresca was absent, and Chair Claudia Bogan.
Aye. So that would be 5 in favor, 2 abstaining, none opposed. Motion carries. All right, well, I'm happy to entertain a motion to adjourn my first meeting back as chair at approximately 7:20. If someone other than me would like to make it.
I'll make a motion to end the January 11th Planning Board meeting at approximately 7:21.
All right, motion by Bob. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Dave.
Dave.
Second by Dave. If there is no discussion, I would entertain a roll call vote by Karen.
Bob Darty,
Aye.
Jim Callahan,
Aye.
Kevin Donovan.
Aye.
Dave Edmonds,
Aye.
Carolyn Turner,
Aye.
Michael Ventresca,
Aye.
and Chair Claudia Bogan.
Aye, that is 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you very much. Thank you to Tina and Karen for preparing a very professional and effective meeting as always. And we will see each other all again virtually on January 25th at 7 o'clock. Thank you all.
Thank
Happy New
you.
Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Peace.
Peace.